My last video was about me blowing a fuse over Governor Brown again, and in the course of talking about that, I brought up public employee unions again. And that brought something to my mind about this whole public employee union thing. California has a voter-passed law that limits property tax in California, and how the public employee unions are pushing to have that undone. And that is one of the few taxes, property taxes, in California that is something like reasonable. We will, I guarantee it, if Proposition 13 is repealed, be paying the same outrageous property taxes that you see in some of the states in the Northeast and just other left-leaning states around the nation. I'd encourage people to look this up about how high property taxes are in some states. That's not really my main point here. What brought this all up was I heard in the news about the school teachers in Seattle, Washington went on strike. Just like anyone that has a job, school teachers have a responsibility to show up and do that job. They need to be there to do that job. Economic troubles we've had in America these past several years. Many people are unemployed. In fact, we have a record percentage of the over 16 population out of work in America. These are still times of economic trouble. And the teachers, you'd think, would be glad that they just have a job. A job is something to be thankful for. Many of the parents of these kids, I'm sure, are unemployed. That does not give a good impression. Teachers in Seattle received, over this temper tantrum and walking out of work, a 14th. That does not give a good impression. That doesn't teach kids a good lesson that they can basically throw a fit and get what they want in life. No one is concerned in this about how much this costs the people that are financially supporting the schools through their tax dollars. That's something that doesn't get brought up enough. You have these unions pulling more and more money out of taxpayers' pockets, and the taxpayers don't have anything to say about it. And that's why I don't think there should be such a thing as public employee unions. And this situation in Seattle is just another example of why we should not have public employee unions. The high school I went to, I had a teacher, a Spanish teacher, that actually had the nerve to complain that he wasn't making enough, when a teacher where I live makes significantly more than the median household income. And that's just one person. That does not give a good impression. Teachers are supposed to set an example for their students. And that does not set a good example. I've said this before, and I have been really raked over the coal by leftists for saying that teachers should set a good example for their students. But that is part of the job of a teacher. And these teachers in Seattle this week did not set a good example for their students. They were not there for their students as they are supposed to be. Is the problem with unionized public employees. The focus isn't on being a public servant anymore. It changes the focus from the students to the teachers. Well, that is not the purpose of a school. Schools are supposed to be focused on the students, not the teachers. If anyone from Seattle is listening to this, please comment. I would think that this should anger parents in the Seattle school district who have kids that attend Seattle public schools. Scott Walker has reined in a lot of the power of public employee unions, and he's vowed to do so at the federal level if he's elected president. I believe that man has shown a lot of courage, and I've done a video on this. But Sometimes you just can't wait for the politicians. Most of the time, you cannot wait for the politicians to do anything about the problems that we are facing in our nation. And if you look through American history, waiting for politicians to solve problems can turn into a very, very long wait. I wonder what the Seattle School District would do if people started homeschooling their kids. And I don't mean just a handful that usually decides to take that route. Suppose 30 or 40 or 50% of people started homeschooling their kids in Seattle. That would put an end to a lot of the abuses in the public school system. If people started doing that in those kind of percentages, that would undermine the power of the public employee unions, of the school teacher unions. That would put an end to a lot of the ridiculous things going on in our schools that they don't even respond to the concerns of the parents anymore. I mentioned in that last video I did about how Governor Brown, who is currently the governor of my state in California, how he doesn't even pretend to respond to the concerns of the citizens in the state anymore. And that's true of our federal government as well. And are the most local, schools are controlled more locally than anything else in our nation's history. I mean, you have the federal government, the state government, your county government, your city council, but the school district is even more local yet. The school board. And we've had a lot of control over our schools because we have that local school board until teachers unionized. And like I said, they're fighting over our money for more and more of it, and they don't even really care about what we have to say anymore. The unions have basically turned school boards into a form of symbolism that has no real effect on curriculum or anything. It's the unions that have the power now. And we go and we vote for the people that sit on the school board, but that really doesn't matter anymore because of teachers' unions. I think that really, if people just pulled their kids out of school and homeschooled them, that would be a way that we could wrest control back. That is just independent of anything. And that could be done without the politicians.